The divine offer no answer. Severed threads scatter across the heavens. Calamity descends in silence, and boundless wilds overtake the land. The Weaver sets forth in search of memories long concealed. Thus read the introductory lines of HoYoverse's newest major IP, Nodusfall, a game which I have actually covered previously back during its earliest ever teaser when it was announced that HoYoverse were working on a new flagship IP developed using Unreal Engine 5. 9 months later, we now have our first official look into this new world as well as what the gameplay will be like. And let me tell you, it looks very promising. Truth be told, when I first saw images of Nodusfall circulating on social media, I thought I was going to check out a new franchise by From Software or Larian Studios. So one can imagine my surprise once I got back home and clicked on the trailer, only to see HoYoverse's logo in it. Immediately, we can notice that Nodusfall is a major divergence from the classic MiHoYo style DNA that exists in all of their previous games, including some of the other upcoming IPs such as Varsapura, which still retains the aforementioned footprint. Instead, the game opts for a strong Souls-like aesthetic reminiscent of what you can see in Elden Ring, combined with some inspiration from franchises like Final Fantasy and Monster Hunter. On that note, let's briefly discuss the gameplay revealed so far. The player character in Nodusfall will be known as the Weaver, who will probably play a similar role to the Traveler from Genshin Impact and the Trailblazer from Honkai Star Rail, or even the Ashen One from Dark Souls 3 and the Tarnished from Elden Ring, for those of you who are coming from that side of the crowd. We also know that this will be a co-op action game where players hunt down a variety of mythical beasts together, which strongly implies a live service model identical to all of HoYoverse's major IPs. Though it's still unclear if the game will feature the same formulaic gacha summoning mechanics or not. Honestly, for everyone's sake, including Nodusfall's, I pray that's not the case. But we will see. I also want to talk about the incredible world building of Nodusfall, which already appears to have the caliber of quality we would expect from MiHoYo's games. After all, world building is one of the best things they do. The title of the game itself tells us quite a bit about the narrative. To put it simply, the term nodus comes from the Latin nodus, meaning a knot, a fastening made by tying together threads. Now, from a technical perspective, a nodus refers to a structural node where several threads and pathways in a given system intertwine together, which, in context, certainly refers to this imposing knot in the sky from the trailer's opening scene. A knot whose threads appear to form the fabric of the world itself. However, following an event known as the First Entanglement, these divine threads were corrupted and severed, and as the remnants were scattered across the heavens, so too did the world fall alongside them. People look up to the heavens, but the gods stay silent. Even the messenger they sent to mend the calamity fell, and now it is time for the Weavers to take arms and salvage their dying land. The primordial myth of the story reads as follows. Once, the essence of creation swirled at the heart of the heavens. This essence shifted and wove the sun, moon, stars, laws of all realms, and even totality itself. But then, an unknown calamity tainted the threads of order, and the glory of the divine gradually faded. The divine decided to seek out the source of the calamity, bestowing their own blessings, inscribing upon it their own hopes, tasking it to bear their power, passing upon it their will. Using this, the divine shaped a messenger to act in their stead. Yet, calamity's stride will forever outpace the speed of schemes. The messenger, yet to be enlightened, fell to the mortal realm by accident, and so began the journey of the lost ones. From this lore, we can gather a number of key details. After the first entanglement, a great flood struck the realms, corrupting the primordial Nodus, through which the essence of creation once flowed like woven thread. The waters of the flood wove calamity upon the world, infesting its threads with a miasma called the Dread Nodus. The gods, also known as the Divine, sought to snuff out the calamity from its source. To that end, they created a being known as the Messenger, in whom they vested all their blessings, hopes, and power, such that it may rise as the world's savior. Yet, this messenger fell into the mortal realm before achieving enlightenment, and now its task seems to have been relegated to a group of people known as the Weavers, who are the players of the game. Now, given that this is a HoYoverse game, meaning it takes place within the broader HoYoverse universe, many of you who are astute of mind would have picked up on several very familiar themes across the lore I narrated, as well as the trailer footage you are watching. The primordial threads through which the essence of creation flows are an immediate, powerful parallel to the concept of the ley lines in Genshin Impact's world of Teyvat. You see, Teyvat's ley lines are also known as the Spirit Veins, and they serve as both the repository for all the data and memories of the world, as well as the underworld where the souls of the dead reside. Notably, ley lines can be altered by those with sufficient authority, where doing so in a given area can significantly alter the environment of that location, along with how living beings perceive and remember said environment. Furthermore, if an area's ley lines are damaged or destroyed, their location will suffer severe ecological and physical consequences, to the point of becoming uninhabitable. These characteristics strongly align with what we are told about the Nodus threads, where their severing throws the world into chaos and stagnation. Notice how the primordial myth characterizes the threads as having bore the essence that shifted, and wove the sun, moon, stars, laws of all realms, and even totality itself. This lore once again invokes another major characteristic of Genshin's ley lines, where their properties are used in combination with Teyvat's firmament to isolate the world from the rest of the universe inside a closed system with its own fake moon, artificial sun, and a false sky. Such a system was created by the ruler of Teyvat, the heavenly principles, to serve as a predeterministic simulation of causality, leveraging the ley lines and the constellations of the false sky to calibrate all the variables in people's lives such that they follow predictable outcomes, effectively granting the heavenly principles near-perfect control over the history and fate of its world. As such, the ley lines in Teyvat are often compared by characters like Dainsleif to the threads of fate, threads that can be woven and rewoven by special individuals like the Descenders, or specialized devices like the Loom of Fate. Putting aside the fact that the Loom of Fate can be interpreted as a type of nodus, a node tying together the threads of fate, I want you guys to focus on this line from Dainsleif.
Your journey has reached its end, but one final doorway remains. Step forth if you have understood the meaning of your journey. Defeat me, command me to step aside. Show me that you are worthier than I to rescue her. Then, the threads of all fate will be yours to reweave.
Throughout the story, the Traveler, who is the fourth Descender, is constantly framed as someone who can weave fate itself like threads of silken gold. And I can't help but notice how similar this portrayal is to the mission of Nodusfall's main character, the Weaver. Especially when you consider the fact that their mission is implied to be directly connected to searching for memories long lost, with the conclusion of the primordial myth encouraging them to push forward step by step until they piece together their shattered self, until they are lost no more. A protagonist piecing together their broken past is a relatively common trope in video games, but it is a particularly prominent theme in MiHoYo's games, where their protagonists often find themselves on a journey to reclaim their lost power or identities. Finally, I want to mention how the calamity in the world of Nodusfall appears to operate akin to the Abyss in Genshin. After all, it is described as having seeped into the world through a flood by the narrator, a language which invokes the same cataclysmic abyssal floods in Tevat. And the waters of the flood in Nodusfall wove calamities upon the land according to the narrator. The Pyro-Archon Mavuika states that the Abyss still exists in many worlds beyond Tevat, and given its ability to adapt and evolve its strategy depending on the target and land it seeks to corrupt and consume, I wouldn't be surprised if the calamity of Nodusfall is another manifestation of the Abyss. This calamity infests the world's equivalent of the ley lines in the form of the Nodai and their threads, forming the miasmic dread Nodus. The developers published additional information regarding the monsters we see in the trailer, and this dragon right here seems to have been infected by the Dread Nodus, with dark, shadowy hands protruding from its chest and reaching towards the hilt of a greatsword. I imagine this blade probably belonged to a hero who tried to slay the Maldrake, or the knight who mounts this dragon. And from the gameplay footage, it looks like we will be fighting both of them, so that will be cool. Nodusfall seems like an incredibly interesting game that's right up my alley in terms of both lore and gameplay. This is a world that, much like Tevat, draws upon various cultures and mythologies to form its own mythos. And on that note, there is this East Asian-inspired dragon shown at the end of the trailer, who may perhaps be the world's primordial dragon. Much like how the Dragon King Nibelung was the original divine will born alongside Tevat. This is an archetype that is quite common in HoYoverse's other games, so I wouldn't be surprised if they repeat it here. Alas, that's going to be everything for this video. Of course, I probably skipped over some details, so feel free to discuss what you think about Nodusfall down in the comments. And if you are new to HoYoverse's games and have any questions about their world building and lore, I will do my best to answer them. As always, a huge thanks to everyone who supports this channel on Patreon, and thank you for watching till the end. For now, I've been My Name for now, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.